Ever been curious of exactly what happens to your body when you abstain from eating, fasting, and its amazing impact on your body, on your organs, on disease? This is incredible, and I think I'm going to win you over from holding off on eating a little bit more each day or each week or each month to implement this in. Check out the timeline. Here we go. It's Dr. Livingood. Welcome to the doctor's office. And fasting, right? 0 to 4 hours right after you eat. Most of you probably live in that zone, or a lot of us do. Maybe not because you're following this channel. If you're not, you can hit subscribe. But 0 to 4 hours in between meals, from breakfast to lunch, from lunch to dinner. During that period of time, your body is sort of just taking in the energy, which is going to raise your insulin levels. That's what we don't want. This right here, this increase in insulin happens way too often for Americans, and that messes up the hormones, interrupts stress, adds belly fat. Generally, will start creating fat in the liver and stores excess energy in the form of fat. So insulin will go up, and if it's constantly spike, you will, one, use up the glucose, the sugar inside of your blood. Carbohydrates are going to turn to it the fastest. Protein next will be turned to it. Fat doesn't have the ability to turn into sugar. So the more sugars you eat, the higher insulin goes. Now your body's going to start using that up, but unless you're really moving and you're really exerting it, it might not use it all up, and that's when it stores it. Now, this is a growth mode. Your body is using insulin. It's in a building state. It's going to repair tissues. It's going to absorb nutrients, build new cells. We want it to be doing this, but it's in growth mode, and the body is going to have a lot of raw material. If you stay in this 0 to 4 hours of eating each day, every 4 hours you're putting food in, it never really has to run out or scrap or clean up or be that efficient. And carbohydrates burn really unclean in the body. So this creates just a lot of soot and a lot of residue and a lot of excess material. And when you do have too much raw material going in, food, you start storing it in the storage shed around your waist. So what happens after that point, though, if you can abstain, like when you sleep, it's maybe 8 hours or 10 hours in between eating, depending on how late you ate at night, you start to tap into this 14 to 16 hour zone. Now, and some of you intentionally go there. I really like to target that 16 hours on a daily basis. If you can only eat during a 6 to 8 hour window, incredible benefits. Look what happens. So your body will begin at this point to start to break down the storage. That's what we want. We don't get enough of that. So late night eating crushes this because it shortens this window down. Early big breakfasts, the healthiest meal of the day, also ends this. But the longer you can stay in this abstained eating period, the easiest is overnight, you will begin breaking down fat. Now, as soon as that starts to happen, you've used up a lot of the glucose inside of the cells. You've used up the glucose that's inside of the blood. Your body starts tapping into the storage to continue to build because you're constantly turning over and needing new cells. You get a new layer of skin every 14 days. You get a new stomach every 6 months. Your body's always building new cells. It needs raw materials. So in the middle of the night, right, it knows it's not going to get a delivery. So it starts breaking down these fat cells, and they end up even in the form of ketones. So about that 16-hour point, you can really start to get some ketone production. Now, why that matters is once your body stops getting deliveries of all the raw materials, it will then go into cleanup mode, efficiency mode. Can we use the scraps? Can we tap into the extra that we have in storage? That is called autophagy. And your body will clean up and use old cells, scrap pieces, viruses, bacteria. It will give you some of that cleanup. You absolutely need that as a human being to have that cleaned up. Now, depending how fast you get into autophagy and depending how fast you get into fat burning mode to get ketones produced, will largely be determined what was the last meal that you ate. Was it heavy carbs? If it is, it's going to take longer to get to autophagy, longer to getting breaking down of fat and producing ketones. If it was a fat-based meal or a protein-based meal, you're going to have a much quicker way, especially with fat, getting to this point. So this is why you need to eat fat to burn fat, because when more of your diet is fat. You're going to get to this point, autophagy, fat burning mode faster versus spiking insulin, storing and using glucose, making fat. So the more fat that you put in, the better off you're going to be there. And then if you can extend it even further, you're going to get into the 16 to 24 hour window. So now you haven't eaten for 3/4 of the day or an entire day. And I do this about once a week. I'm in a full day fast. Most days I'm in a 16-hour fast and 16-hour window. So every day I'm putting my body into autophagy, which is going to keep things fresh. But some really cool things start to happen when it burns up cells and with your mental clarity. So once we start to hit this 24-hour mark, we're really cranking up autophagy. The body's in cleanup mode. It has no new materials. A lot of the glucose and sugar in the cells burning up at that point. So it's going way down. But this one is key right here. The sugar built up, the glycogen in your liver starts to go. So your body, if you're seeing a trend here, number one, it's going to use the easy raw materials of what you just ate, and it's going to spike the insulin and start doing growth that way. Then it's going to start to break down a little bit of fat, and it's going to transition to burning up extra glucose and sugar built up in the liver. So when you start losing weight, keep in mind, your body is going to start burning it up from your liver first, so it might not reflect on your belly. It might not reflect on your double chin, but you want it out of those organs as fast as you can. The fastest way to speed this up, go 16 to 24 hours without eating. Really starts to get the cells out of the liver. It starts to reverse fatty liver syndrome. Very, very important. And we're in full-on fat burning mode at that point. If you want to take one step further, you can consult your doctor, especially if you have a condition or diabetes or something like that. But there's been many times I've gone 24 hours all the way up to 7 days. My longest fast with only liquid is 14 days. Now, I'm not asking any of you to just dive right into that, but it's incredible what the body is capable of. And the benefits so outweigh any of the negatives with food. There is some hunger pains when you go a day without eating, or 2 days or 3 days, but the benefits will blow you away what it does to your body. So this is where you get into optimal autophagy. Now, this is ultimate cleanup mode, and what research out of UCLA shows is that your immune system actually gets a large surge at this point. Talking virus protection, we're talking immune defense, really surges up when you get to the 72-hour mark. So it's very, very powerful. You're in full-on ketosis at that point, which means you are a full-on fat-burning mode, okay? Your brain starts getting fueled from the ketones. Normally, your brain is fueled off glucose. That is its energy source of choice. But at this point, there isn't glucose in here. We've burnt it up from the bloodstream, the cells, the liver. So the brain defaults to ketones running your brain. And the advantage of this is that you wouldn't want to survive forever on it. But when your brain is running off ketones, you get better mental clarity. There's better concentration. You're really cleaning up a lot of the garbage and the soot that's built up in your system through autophagy, and you're lowering your risk of Alzheimer's because you're clearing out the plaques and the buildup in your brain. So the brain health benefit at 24 to 72 hours is massive. The immune health benefit of 24 to 72 hours is massive. Just getting 4 to 16 hours is going to give you a definite bump in fat reduction, in liver toxicity. But if you can make it to a day to 72, I recommend once a month getting here. To aid this production, eating less carbohydrate is going to help. More fats, more proteins. Also adding in apple cider vinegar is going to keep your insulin level down so you can get to these benefits a lot quicker. The amazing benefits of fasting. And so that apple cider vinegar, you can either drink it to help support this, or you can take it in a powder form. I put a link for my powdered form one in the description below. Now, to really help you make this very practical, I put together a month-long process called rotational fasting so that you don't always just eat during a 16-hour window, because some of this starts to get lessened. You don't get as much benefit, but this will keep your body guessing so you can tap into all of these benefits you see on the board, and your body won't be able to plateau, which so many people run into. I put that training right here for you to enjoy some more amazing benefits of the easiest diet plan and meal plan you'll ever follow, fasting. Check it out.